Astra Travelers, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast. Last time, we talked all about Libin's marvelous merchandise as we talked about all of his tomfoolery across Teyvat.
Calling all tabletops. Are you looking for an imaginative companion to join you on your exhausting dungeon crawl? Well, join us at our website at talesofteyvat.com, where you can find visuals ready to inspire you for your next duel.
While you're on our site, be sure that you check out our other seasons and episodes. They all have lore sheets, they all have some fun stuff, and they might just pop your eye out with a rogue button.
Oh my god. Finally, feel free to email Albedo at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com to let him know what you thought of this week's episode and what topics you'd like to see in the future. Please make sure to include no anthrax. We've had threats. Anyway, you can also feel free to check out our Ko-fi, where you can buy us a cup of coffee, or check out our merch, where all proceeds go to making sure that our podcast keeps running and that we are able to properly open and run the Twink Tank as well. So, travelers, today we're talking all about Clorinde. Clorinde? Am I really supposed to pronounce the D?
You should never leave out the D.
I think it's more like Clorinde.
Clorinde, like Iran.
Clorinde.
Yeah.
But Clorinde's fine.
Does anybody ever spell it like chlorine, though? Like, I'm always putting an H in there.
Oh.
No.
But I think Clorinde is the Frenchiest way to say it.
Clorinde.
Clorinde.
So, we do meet Clorinde in the initial Archon quest, but what were your guys' first impressions of her prior to meeting her, when she was just like a character? She was in the leaks for Fontaine.
Yeah, and well, she was one of the first people we even saw. She sauntered down the steps.
Sauntered?
Before we met. Sauntered, yeah.
Were
She
you
sauntered.
swooned?
I was swooned. I mean, she's a dark-haired electro big titty lady. I was swooned from the start. It didn't take much. It never does. But yeah, she saunters down the stairs when we meet Farina. She has like one line. She's not that important there. But I don't remember her from the leaks, but I also am not always very like I think I look at leaks after afterwards more so than beforehand.
She was leaked as like a character with like an apple.
What?
Oh.
Wait, was she in that video in the video leak? Not the leak, the video preview thing that we had when we first thought it was like Albedo drowning?
No.
Oh.
No.
I'm making stuff up. Is that what
No,
you're saying?
it was just concept art. Showed her more in like a green outfit with like an apple and stuff. And I remember people thinking maybe she was like Viri, like the Viridescent Venerer or something.
Oh.
There was a lot of thoughts. They were all wrong.
I don't think I saw that leak, but I just thought when I first saw her, like, oh, I don't like her hat.
Oh, and I think she has one of the acceptable hats in the game.
It's just too ornate or something. It's too fragile looking, if that makes sense.
Huh. I looked at it as to me, it felt like it fit the rest of her outfit, but also it had like that little like Robin Hood type silhouette that just screamed Marechaussee Hunter to me.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know what a Marechaussee Hunter was at the time.
Well, I knew Robin Hood though.
And it's so funny though. Tiff was like, I could see the future.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean, I don't mean when I first saw her. I just feel like the hat kind of.
As you got to know her type of thing.
Yeah, when I saw her in the game and I saw the hat, because like I said, I didn't really pay attention to anything beforehand. When she sauntered down those steps, I didn't notice a hat.
Wow.
You notice that button about to pop off.
That button has been my nemesis for however long she's been out.
How long has she been out? Like 2 years? Almost 2 years?
What is time?
Yeah, actually, it's almost the anniversary of Clorinde.
It is. I mean, it'll be after by the time this airs, but we're recording this moments before her anniversary.
Her 2-year anniversary.
Yeah. June 5th, 2024, during version 4.7. By the way, I liked her design other than the hat. I was like, okay, she's like very French looking. You could kind of just tell by her vibe that she was going to be like an intense character.
Mm-hmm.
So I was into it other than the hat. But you know me, I just don't like hats, really.
I hate your hat hate.
What did you think of her, Fiends?
Well, I didn't like her when I met her because I feel like she's bullying me. I just got here. And you know me, I really don't go based off the looks. Like, I hated Tainari when he first released. Like, I just had like a vendetta against him in the leaks. And then I fell in love. And I love his design. Like, it has nothing to do with his design. So I don't know. I think I was just like, ugh, fox ears? No. And then I was like, wait, my baby fox.
Let's say his outfit was groundbreaking.
Oh, yeah, it was top tier. I mean, I'm looking at like all this Tainari fan art stuff I have right in front of me right now. And I'm like, he's beautiful. But at the time I was like, I don't think I'm going to like him. So with Clorinde, I just kind of didn't have an opinion. It was like when I first met her, I was like, meh. And I think she's a beautiful character, but I was like, I don't know. Meh.
Did she remind you of anybody else?
Me? No. She reminded me of Anthrax.
Wow. I was going to say she had like some Yelan vibe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Her and Yelan could be besties.
She gave me like A vibes.
Like emotionless? Is that the...
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Because she is kind of like very stone-faced, like not very talkative.
Yeah, I think Seedween says like it's really hard for her to read Clorinde's emotions because she has no facial like movements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I look at her face and I cannot be mean. And I read all these books and I still cannot tell.
Isn't Lynette even like uncomfortable around her?
Yeah, Lynette is like once I had to watch a fight between Clorinde and someone else, like as a champion duelist, and I never want to be on like the receiving end of her sword is basically what she says.
Okay. Oh, but I guess that's more of like afraid of her combat. I was thinking like it'd be funny if Lynette was like, she's too robotic. It makes me nervous.
Her direct words are, the coldness radiating from her was absolutely chilling.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the robot felt cold.
I think that comes across in her teaser video like really well. I mean, also her hotness. I'm going to say that a lot. So just get over it.
I can't wait to cut it all out.
Oh,
No,
no.
I'm joking.
That's a hate crime.
Seriously.
During Pride Month.
I know. So her teaser is like, she obviously has a demo and a teaser because she's a later character, but in her teaser it's like she's getting ready for like a duel, and Mr. Mescal, you want to have a duel, like instead of like, you know, actually taking the consequences of your actions. And he's like, yes, I demand it. And she comes out of the darkness and it's so dramatic, and he like backs up. They like zoom into his feet like he's about to piss himself. Like I thought that they were zooming in because you were going to see a little leak of primordial pea water next to his feet.
I'm dead.
But it's intimidating. It's very dramatic, and it's like, damn, the iciness.
Primordial pea water. You heard it here first.
I really hate it. Like I contemplated ending the call.
Is that like what the Amrita pool is?
No, that's actually dead juice. So that's dead god juice.
I mean, there's got to be pee in the primordial seawater under Fontaine. I mean, that narwhal had to have been pissing all over the place.
And I mean, we can just swim in that water all the time.
Yeah. And we like basically breathe it.
Oh, piss, girl, they say as we go into the water.
I mean, do we know if Marechaussee like has a sewer system that goes up to the land?
That is a great question. What do they do?
Yeah, we had to go fix those like all those like valves and stuff, and that like those little side quest things.
It brings a whole new meaning to golden showers.
So basically, the northern waters of Fontaine are tainted until you fix the pipes with the sewage of Marechaussee.
Marechaussee.
Oh my god. Anyway,
this is the most we've ever talked about urine.
You know, we normally just fix the butt.
Yeah.
And anthrax.
Changing things up. Happy Pride, everyone.
I did just want to throw out an unpopular thing that I do. It's a hot take, and I know I mentioned it to you guys before we started recording, but I think a lot of people are gonna be mad at me for this. So I got Clorinde's weapon. I don't have her, so I put it on my mannequin, who is my Genshin original character, Nat, and I really want her to be built well because I like playing with her in the world. And so I do have Absolution level 90 on Natalia's Solatov, my Genshin OC.
But so you play with her though, like she does
Yes,
stuff?
I do.
Well, then I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, it's not like taking a 5-star weapon and putting it on like Guru.
I mean, what if I do that too?
That would be a crime.
It sounds like you're against dogs.
No, I love puppies.
Goro has a 4-star weapon on him, so you're lucky. I checked.
Guru still has like the initial one he came with.
That's terrible. Let him live. Let him cook.
What is
He's a general.
need?
He's a general.
So when Clorinde's on the banner, if you need, like, do you wish on her weapon now so you can give upgrades to Nat?
I don't know what the refinements do. I probably would. I actually recently was told that I shouldn't pull for weapon refinements. At least for Durin. I was talking about pulling for Durin and saying if I got a Durin constellation, I would then go for a refinement of his weapon. And I was told not to do that the Durin constellation would be better than the refinement. I don't really know if that goes for everyone, but I can't get a constellation on my mannequin. My mannequin's talents are as high as they go.
Yeah.
And there's no
right.
constellations for them. So I feel like, yeah, I would have to go for refinements on it because besides artifacts, there's not much I can do to really level that character up. Which kind of sucks. Like, Hoyo, like total side note. You gave us these mannequins. You said have fun, like make your characters, make yourself, self-insert into Genshin. But then like you don't give us a lot of the necessary tools to level them and actually make them playable and usable. Like totally. Now, my Nat is pretty good out and about. She's Geo. It's perfect because my character's Geo, so I made her Geo. And for travelers who don't know, your mannequins will be whatever element your traveler is currently set to. So you could do that, but that also, like, the talents make it hard because of that. Because it's like, okay, well, my talents aren't necessarily based on an element because they're meant to be all elements. It's not like the traveler who has different talents for every element they are.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, I'd really like to see, like, some sort of constellation thing. Especially, like, because they're the only character that can't get constellations. They say Aloy can.
How can Aloy get it?
I don't know. It looks like you can get constellations for her, where with the mannequin, it quite literally says it doesn't have constellations.
I think that's because after all the years of people looking at Aloy going, how come it shows me constellations, but there are no constellations? They're like, let's not do this again.
Yeah.
Don't you think they would update Aloy? Do you think,
No.
let me look. Do you think it's updated?
I don't think so. I don't see them going back and changing something like that.
No, it still says she can get constellations.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I want you to think that maybe there's a possibility for all the Aloy stands out there.
Yeah. It's so annoying. Like, just put her on a banner.
I mean, honestly, they really should.
No.
It was a waste. It's just kind of a little bit of a waste that she's.
I was hoping they would do it, like reopen her when came out with the Horizon Part 2 game, but they didn't. So I'm hoping maybe one of the next Horizon games will do it.
But even like on the standard or the what are those
Chronicles.
fancy? Yes. Oh my, it's like you read my mind.
I love a good Chronicle banner.
She should be on a Chronicle banner. A Mondstadt Chronicle banner.
I wonder if it's like a legal agreement that they have with Sony or something.
Why Mondstadt?
Because she feels like a Mondstadt character to me.
No, get her out of there.
This isn't like all of her, everything she does is in Mondstadt.
I don't know her.
Well, that's your problem.
Make her, like, send her somewhere
I know
else.
her. She can go to
That's
Mondstadt.
Will that make you have to like actually like believe in her? Is if she's from Mondstadt?
No, she's from another world. It says it in her description.
She is from another world. But she went through a portal, so wouldn't it make sense if the portal was in Mondstadt? Because we all know it was probably Alice that made it.
Yeah.
She threw a hilly troll into the air and out came Aloy.
Yeah.
Probably. No, I think Aloy found her lore. She finds a portal like in a lab that she's looking at and like steps through it and it transports her to that.
I don't want to talk about Aloy anymore.
Aloy is from Earth.
Aloy is not from Mondstadt.
Oh, maybe she just brought her. Maybe Alice just brought her back from the KFC.
Exactly.
Shut up. She found Aloy in a KFC.
Yeah.
And just was like, come with me, girl. Aloy's like, no, I found civilization. They're making me fried chicken. I don't have to make it myself. Poor Aloy. She was just getting used to a normal day-to-day life. She was about to be friends with Leon Kennedy. Like, it was gonna be great. And now. Anyway, Aloy put way into the back of your minds because she's not from Mondstadt. So we have Clorinde.
But she lives in Mondstadt.
Now. She lives in like a tree and not in Mondstadt. Anywhere else.
The Windrise tree?
No, I said anywhere else.
That's her address.
Venti and Vanessa already live in the Windrise tree.
There's plenty of room. That's a big ass tree.
No. It's full. I also reside there during the summers, so it's full. I know from experience. There is no root system in that tree, so there are no apartments downstairs. It is all in the trunk. Anyway, so we have Clorinde. So Clorinde is mostly known for being a champion duelist, but I did want to just go a little bit into what a champion duelist exactly is, and also what a Marechaussee Phantom/Hunter is, because that's going to come up a lot in here. So just to give some institutional backstory here, because I obviously have been doing presentations at work about institutional knowledge. So a champion duelist is basically one of Fontaine's very best fighters. There are currently 3 that we know of. There is Clorinde, Savinien, and Guillaume Maurice. I did really good on the French until that one.
I was like, could you say that again?
Guillaume Maurice. Maybe. I don't know. Let me just say Savinien. I'm good at that one. Savinien. Sauvignon. It sounds like a wine. Like I'm getting a Sauvignon Blanc. Anyway, those are currently the 3 that we know of. And we hear about Clorinde, obviously, because she's Clorinde. We hear about Savian because he's an NPC. He has like a big hat. Brandon probably would hate it. Mm-hmm. And we really don't have a lot of information on him. And then for Guillaume Maurice, we only actually know about him through Sir Arthur, which is the Steambird's talking bird outside of their station. For those who don't know, the Steambird is the big newspaper that Charlotte writes for and Mona sometimes has a column for. And that person used to have a 30-year winning streak, but they recently lost the streak to themselves because they, quote unquote, suffered fatal cardiac arrest at home from a wheel-lock pistol misfire while explaining the duel that made him famous to a guest. So I'm not really sure if he had a heart attack or if he had a heart attack and shot himself.
It sounds like he had a heart attack because he shot himself.
Yeah, I don't really. It also sounds like possibly the cover-up to a murder. Yeah. I'm not really sure.
Was the guest still alive?
Yeah, we don't know who the guest was either. And maybe it was the anthrax wielders, but I'm not really sure. So I guess I lied. There's only 2 currently known champion duelists because the 3rd is dead. There were some in history, but they're gone, so we're not going to talk about them. What is a champion duelist? Travelers might be asking. A champion duelist comes with a very weird concept. It's basically like, hey, Amanda's on trial for murder. And Amanda...
Of course it's for murder.
Because it's not that far off from what really is going to happen. Did you know she owns random land that she's decided she's going to put bodies in at one time?
Oh, whoa. I do own land with a friend. I am not putting random bodies on my land.
He's going to be body. Exactly. He'll be the first one to disappear.
Uh-huh. No. No. If someone's going to be the first body on there, it's going to be Dodore. So, in all the segments. Anyway, that aside... because apparently I'll have a lot of bodies. So basically, Amanda's on trial for murder. And Amanda can go, hey, I'm 6. And I want to fight for my freedom. I don't want to listen to what the oratrice is going to tell me. And I can choose to fight one of the champion duelists for my life. From my understanding, I don't get to choose which champion duelist. I just get assigned one.
No choice.
Yeah. Hopefully I get Guillaume Maurice since he's dead and I'll just be fighting a ghost.
Can I have the dead one, please?
Can I have the dead ghost, please? But so you end up dueling this champion duelist, and if you win, you get acquitted. Go home, hug your kids, say hi to your wife. If you don't win and you lose, and typically this does not end in death, just an FYI, and they say typically, because there is an asterisk there, you have to go to trial still. Which is kind of funny. It's like, yeah, you can fight, and then we're just gonna send your ass back to court anyway. And you go back to trial. And really the worst case scenario here is that you die.
Yeah. I mean, that tends to be the worst case scenario in most situations.
And that only happens if like the person who's being charged is like refusing to back down. And we do know that Clorinde has killed at least one person, that being Callas, Navia's father. But we'll talk about that later. And Clorinde is known as the strongest of the champion duelists. Even Eula knows that over in Mondstadt. And also, like, you know how sometimes we talk about like the start of game itis, like you only know Zhongling because she has food. Like people will be like, oh, she cooks. There's a little bit of that with Clorinde in some of her voice lines. People are like, oh, she's a great duelist. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Luckily, she has a little more dimension to her in those voice lines. But the general feedback from the public is that, hey, she's a champion duelist, which really had me questioning at one point, like, what does she do when she's not being a champion duelist?
Well, we know now.
Like, for work.
Oh, for work.
Oh, that's her job. What more is she going to do? Oh, well, she was the bodyguard to Farina.
Yeah, but Farina's eating mac and cheese and vibing now. So what does Clorinde do when there's no, like, guy to fight from court?
Well, I think she has a line somewhere where she makes a mention of, like, her free time. Like, because she sort of says to someone, oh, you must have more free time than I do, or something like that. So I think she probably just
sits around,
has free time.
Yeah. Well, she does make a point in her story quest too to say like that she is a normal person. You know, like when she's at her job, she's stoic, but outside of that, she laughs and cries and gets angry and stuff like that, just like regular people.
And Farina's like, I've never seen you cry.
Yeah, I think isn't it Navia who's like,
Yeah, Navi's like, I don't know about that. And Farina's like, I've never seen an emotion on your face.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, you want me to cry, bitch?
Yes. Amanda went, yes. Farina went, oh, no.
No.
Can I just share something that I thought was kind of funny, even though I don't really think it's true necessarily, but I was kind of looking at like what her introduction was like and what Hoyo was kind of, you know, the image that Hoyo was putting of her out there when they were introducing her back in 2024. So let me just read to you. This is like from her, I think her character stories. And it says, disputes are amora a dozen in Fontaine, day in and day out. A confectioner might accuse another of stealing their recipe. And not only that, but replacing bull of fruit peel with mint, thus bringing disgrace not only upon themselves, but upon the very dessert itself. Or a playwright might accuse a fanatical reader of imitating their style and taking up a pen name too close to their own, to the point that even the newspapers could not distinguish the genuine article. A merchant might accuse a colleague of targeted, malicious, cutthroat competition, of not only constantly adjusting their prices, but of intentionally setting up shop directly opposite them. Word to the wise friend, the evidence against you is irrefutable. If you want to uphold your honor, atonement is an option. You could still do much good. There's no need to resort to a duel. I mean, your opponent is Clorinde. That Clorinde, you hear? Oh, for the love of the fountain of Lucine, if you go up against her, you'll wind up without even the strength to confess your crimes. Now, having said all of that, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that Clorinde came out on June 5th, 2024. Guess what was released on May 23rd, 2024?
The Fountain of Lucine.
Wuthering Waves.
What? Wait, what? Now I'm lost.
Wuthering Waves. So think about like when I was reading that, I was like, is this some like thinly veiled kind of like jab at Wuthering Waves for like, you know, they're talking about imitating their style.
I'm crying. Oh my God.
Targeted,
Brandon.
malicious, cutthroat competition, adjusting their prices, intentionally setting up shop directly opposite them.
Are you creating gotcha game gossip right now? The GGG? The G trio?
I don't necessarily think that that's what was happening, but it just felt a little weird when I was reading that the first time. I was like, what does this have to do with Clorinde?
Yeah.
I was like, is this more about Hoyo? And then I looked up, I was thinking like, what about like their competitors? And then I saw the release date for Wuthering Waves and I was like, hold on.
They went back and rewrote that whole thing just to be petty. Like,
that's what I was wondering. I was like, are they that petty? I don't know.
I mean, I would do it.
Oh, and that, by the way, that was a sincere letter that a certain wealthy merchant who had pleaded not guilty received on the eve of a duel.
Ah, so the creator and executive producer of Wuthering Waves, Solon Lee.
So I just wanted to share, I just like to fantasize that Hoya was like, Clorinde will be our, champion duelist and slay Wuthering Waves.
I mean, I love it.
Wait,
I should have looked
up. Wait, when did Tower of Fantasy come out?
It also came out in like a day before. They like deleted everything, reprogrammed.
Oh no, that came out in 2022.
Now, jabs aside, Wuthering Waves aside, there is one other group brought up quite often when talking about Clorinde, and that is the Marechaussee Phantoms or the Marechaussee Hunters. It seems to be the same group, just with different names. It seems like the Phantoms is the group, the Hunters are the people. They're really used interchangeably. So these are a group of people who hunted monsters using very special sword techniques following the fall of Remuria. They were founded by Cassiodor, aka our favorite talking cat, aka the Golden Hunter. And if you want to hear a lot about Remuria and everything with Cassiodor, we do have an episode on that. It's episode 91, Remuria and the Sea of Bygone Eras. But basically, when we find Cassiodor the cat on Petrichor, not named Cassiodor, I think we'll call him something else with an O. We end up going all through all these trials and tribulations in Remuria during these world quests, and we learn a lot about the Marechaussee Hunters. But basically, their goal when Cassiodor founded them, right after the fall of Remuria many, many moons ago, was to get rid of all the monsters that were hanging out after the kingdom fell. So we're assuming this happened like 20 to 30 years after Remuria fell. Once the monsters were gone, though, there was really nothing for the hunters to do. So they, for the most part, went back to being normal people. But there were a few instances where they were brought back and their swordsmanship style was passed down by generations. We know that Emmanuel Guillotine, who is Elaine and Marianne's adopted father, was one of the hunters. And he actually took part in the siege of Poisson that happened many moons ago as well. And it changed him. It made him actually leave the Phantoms. He was no longer a hunter. And he became very much a recluse after that. We also know that after the Cataclysm, the Narcissus Institute was a mess, and that the Marechaussee Phantoms took advantage of that and recruited some of their people over. So we know Elaine and Marianne both became Marechaussee Hunters because of that. And that led to Elaine and Marianne eventually investigating the Narcissus Ordo, which was Jacob, Renee, and Gupe, where they then fought over Alinus's cold dead body, quite literally. In modern Teyvat, they're just mostly super cool investigators that are Melazines. Like, all the Melazines now are badass, they're detectives, they're criminal mindsing. And there is a line that says, quote unquote, hunters still exist, but no longer as an organized group. They simply pass down their training and traditions through their family lines or chosen successors. None are currently known to be members of the Marechaussee Phantom specifically. So again, hunters, the people, are passing down their traits, but there's no group of phantoms anymore. And we do find out that Clorinde is trained in the ways of the Marechaussee Hunters.
Well, there are phantoms, though. Like the Melazines, they're known as the Marechaussee Phantom. Because I thought that there was no more of the hunters as a group, but the Phantom. Or am I just thinking back to Carol's time?
I think they're one and the same. I forget which one was like the name in the past versus the present, but it's the same thing. Like, it's sometimes called Phantom and other times called Hunters.
I think I'm specifically thinking of Carol's story, honestly. And that's where Phantoms maybe are mentioned.
Yeah, the quote is that hunters still exist, but the Phantom group is gone.
Okay.
So there's no secret force, but there are people trained who are hunters, and they're the Melazines and people like Clorinde.
I think they used to be hunters in like the Cassiodor days. They've since become known as the Marechaussee Phantom, which is like the modern day version of the hunters. It says the Melazines make up most of its ranks of the Phantom.
So we're assuming that hunters are only humans and that anyone can be a phantom, technically, but that currently there are no hunters, aka no humans, in the Phantoms.
Yeah.
I think the hunters were the past. Like the hunters were the group of monster hunters. So they were like literally formed to battle monsters in the ancient days. I think it even says somewhere that after the fall of the Romurian Empire, there were monsters that kept popping up. So the Marechaussee Hunters were like literally monster hunters, and their traditions were passed down, through history. And there were some people like Petronilla that still practice like the training and everything that has been passed down. But people that do that are like very rare. Whereas the institution of the Marechaussee has morphed into the Marechaussee Phantom, which is now just basically the detective force, which is mostly made up of the Melusines.
So even though Florian, who is someone we meet later, says that his father was a Marechaussee Hunter, his father, we're saying, was more so just a Marechaussee learner.
He was a hunter like Petronilla.
They were just kind of like, they weren't an official group anymore, and they were behind the scenes, and they didn't make themselves known type of thing. They're kind of like the Dark Knight heroes of Fontaine.
Exactly, because Petronilla used to run around like fighting crime at night with the dark cloak. So I think that's exactly right. Like I think the hunters that were still practicing the traditions of being a Marechaussee Hunter, they're secretly in the lineage of the Marechaussee Hunters, which is why they have their whatchamacallit in the cave or whatever, their vault or whatever. But the Phantom as an institution is just, it's something different now. It's the detective force with the Melusines.
So for all sakes and purposes of this episode, you have to know that Clorinde has been trained in the way of the Marechaussee Hunters.
Yes.
She is not a hunter, though. We know that much. She's just trained in that way. So she has their specific swordsman style of fighting. And that her master, Petronilla, was a Marechaussee Hunter, which was like a behind-the-scenes Black Knight hero, Dark Knight hero type thing.
I feel like she actually is a hunter, though, because like in the end of her story quest, like the story kind of goes on that like the Marechaussee Hunters don't give out like who they are, and they don't make a big deal about it, and they don't have to talk about what they're doing and why they're doing it. And they say, because that's exactly what she's doing. Like her answers lie in silence. She's an unspoken, vow echoing through the night, something very dramatic.
Yeah, I kind of felt like her story quest was like almost kind of like her becoming one in a way. And I mean, we can get to it when we go through her story quest, but it was kind of like her taking up the things that Petronilla left her when she disappeared, and like kind of embracing the main sort of tenet of the hunters, which is that you aren't doing it for recognition.
Yeah.
So I kind of took it like as that, but I don't know if there's actually like some kind of event or ritual or something they do to like make it official that, oh, you're officially a hunter. It might not be like that anymore.
I feel like it might be said in the demo, in her character demo too, but I'd have to double check.
We'll get to the story quest in a little bit, but before we do that, and before we talk more about Marechaussee anythings, we should talk a little bit about Clorinde in the Archon quest. And really top level shit. We meet Clorinde, like Tiff said, she sauntering down and yells at us, basically.
Yeah, when we first get to Maritime Harbor and we're talking to Linny and we're like, oh, we're here to see the Archon. And it's like, well, you're in luck because here comes the Archon. And like some other like people kind of come down and they're just like, yes, we're standing at attention for the Archon. And then you see Clorinde like, stand there. Be nice to me. She doesn't say that because she doesn't need to. Farina goes through this whole thing and like is, kind of like Farina's being Farina at that point, which she's being a little like adversarial and stuff. And the moment we kind of start being like, oh, well, bitch, you want to fight? Clorinde, for one thing, is like, are you saying that you want to fight an Archon? Like, come on now. And Farina realizes too, like, oh, wait, I can't get in a fight. You know what? That's so old school. We don't fight anymore. And all the people who are watching are like, oh, she's so right. We don't do that anymore. It's better to talk about wits. But yeah, Clorinde is there as her bodyguard. But that's really about it at the beginning part. Like she shows up like after we meet Navia. And I always get it wrong. Do we first meet Navia in Linny's story, or is it just the Archon?
Yeah, we meet Navia in the Archon quest.
Yeah, but there's a time when we're outside and like Clorinde like has to come in, like we kind of like have like a little view of her, and she's fighting off somebody who was gonna fight us, and you can tell that there's some bad blood between them.
Yeah, that is the guards are attacking us at the fountain when we're hearing Vache.
Yes, Vache.
And it's a really awesome cutscene where Clorinde and Navia save our asses.
Yeah.
Oh, Vache. Speaking of criminal minding, it's like the Marechaussee Phantom is like literally like SVU up in Fontaine.
Oh my god, yeah. Get Emily on the scene.
But then it really comes down to she becomes more involved once we meet Wriothesley.
Hi, Wriothesley.
Hard eyes.
Tiff's hard eyeing at all of them.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big shipper. I'm really not. But Clorinde and Wriothesley, right up there. One of my tops. I feel like we're talking about tops a lot.
No comment.
But they have a great little relationship too that could really be looked at as, a friendship side, or you can go on the ship side. But they have a great little connection where they're always kind of like jabbing at each other a little bit too. And like there's a scene between Clorinde and Wriothesley where he's like, "Hey, would you like some tea?" And she's like, "No. But are you just asking me because you want tea?" And he's like, "Yes, I want tea. But do you want some because I already made it?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." Like, she's like, you're not going to say you're having tea because I want it. You're having tea because you want it. And yes, I'll have some of it. It's like stupid shit like that.
This brings me back to one of my favorite comics that I've mentioned before on this podcast, by Dino Piss. Bringing it back to urine, guys. But there's a artist on TikTok and Instagram that I like
Piss
called
girl
Dino
alert.
Piss. And they have a whole comic series about it's Wriothesley and Nouvellette being together in like a modern AU, but Clorinde and Wriothesley are like brother and sister in it. And it's that's kind of how I see them, because like they're so snarky with one another. She's like, "Are you just wanting tea because I want tea?" But it's such a cute comic regardless of who you ship or who you don't ship. But also, you made me think of tea in prison. And one of the funniest things that comes out of Clorinde's story quest, in my opinion, is Paimon going, "Man, I wish there was tea in real prison." And then she stops and she goes, "Oh, wait, that's really how Marechaussee works if you're lucky." Like, she's just like, "Oh, wait, you do get tea in prison if you do it the right way."
Yeah. I mean, the warden's office is made of tea.
Basically.
Yeah, you want anything in there. It's like, you don't trade cigarettes in Marechaussee, you trade tea.
Yes, absolutely. Teas and coupons.
Teas and coupons, that's all you need.
She loves coffee just as much, right? Because I know she, like, in the recent Nod Cry event where they have the little trade fair thing going on, she runs one of the booths, or is helping run one of the booths, and they make it look like she pulls out like a portable coffee maker from her briefcase.
Not from her briefcase.
Yes.
It's just as bad as pulling it out of her ass.
Oh, is it? But is it?
Yes.
It's the same thing, really.
Really?
In this game.
One's a satchel, one's your ass.
I'm sorry, we're pulling swords out of our titties in this game. Like, the ass is more likely.
One's a satchel, one's an ashel.
Oh my god. No.
But yeah, she's talks about how she's been studying the baristas in Fontaine and like learning how to make good coffee. And she's like, "Let me show you my new skills." And she's like learning how to make really nice coffee drinks.
If you've ever done your dailies over in Fontaine, you too have made some good coffee, or some terrible coffee. It depends on how much you've paid attention every time you have to go help that dude out.
I've never paid more attention to a daily in my life. Like, I don't want to fuck that up.
Speaking of dailies, you know what I just realized? You know that daily in Liyue where that guy's like looking for inspiration? So you have to go around Liyue Harbor looking for examples of things. And so like you see like a cat and a fish that are friends, or like a pack of dogs, and it sort of randomizes like depending on the day. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yes.
And then you go and you like tell him like, "Oh, I saw like a cat and a fish getting along." And he's like, "Oh, that is inspirational. It's like proof that we can all get along with each other. I'm going to go blah, 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 blah." Well, I didn't realize this until yesterday. I guess I was in a bad mood when I was doing my daily.
Oh my god, okay.
But I don't think actually I wasn't in a bad mood. I was just really curious. But
Wait, why are those interchangeable, Brandon?
Curious
When
and
Brandon's
bad
really
mood.
curious, he could be really pissed off, guys. Be warned. You heard it here first.
well, you're gonna know why when I tell you. So like I took the daily and I went and I had the one where it's the cat and the fish like hanging out and like not, the cat's not trying to hurt the fish or anything. And I had Varessa out. And with Varessa, like you can run with her and she can run across water. So it's like not annoying to like zoom across like small bodies of water. So I was like, what would happen? Like I kind of need fish for my cooking. Like I just zoomed over to where the cat and the fish were and attacked them.
Oh my God.
And I killed the fish and scared the cat away. And Paimon starts yelling at you when you do it.
Really?
Yes. And then I did the same thing to this, like the other one, because it gives you two different ones. I did the same thing to like the pack of dogs that's hanging out by, what's his name? The little street cook vendor guy.
Okay.
And I scared the dogs away and Paimon yelled at me again. And then I went and turned in the daily and the guy yells at me too. And he's like really upset.
Who didn't yell at you?
But it's funny because he's really upset about the cat and the fish, but not scaring away the dogs.
I mean, you killed
them.
You killed the fish.
There's a big difference between murder and fear, Brandon.
Well, he's like, oh yeah, these dogs are like, they've been hanging out together for so long, for years. They're always together. And like, that happens with people too. And like, I'm never going to find romance with like, we're all just friends. It was like, well, no, I gave them something to bond over by scaring them away. And he was actually like into it. He's like, that's actually a good idea. You got to do that. And so, but then the fish and the cat, he was like really, really upset about it. So just a fun little thing that I had no idea. It's like a daily I've done like 20 million times. Had no idea you could do that until yesterday.
That guy was clearly not a dog person.
He wasn't, yeah, because he was a fish person. I feel so bad for the fish.
The best part is Paimon, though. She's like, why did you do that?
See, Paimon's my girl. With the way I am with animals and everything like that, you would think that I was the vegetarian in this conversation. Not the one laughing at murdering fish.
It just struck me. I was like, because I thought of, when I saw the fish, I thought of the ducks in Mondstadt. And I was like, I've never tried to kill that fish.
Brandon,
have you tried to kill the ducks?
Oh yeah, I've totally killed the ducks.
And the pigeons, of course.
Of course.
I mean, Timmy is making an army out of them, so you're really just helping them in the end.
I know, but it's so satisfying sometimes.
Well, no, yeah, you got to get rid of those evil pigeons.
I mean, just pissing off Timmy is satisfying.
Big boss, going to be the end boss of this whole fucking game. Yeah,
it's the primordial one.
Little Timmy.
Anyway,
dead dad.
No.
Anywho, Clorinde. So the next time we really see her is in one of the best cutscenes of. Well, Fontaine has a lot of good cuts. As I'm saying it, I'm like Fontaine, Archon, great cutscenes, all of them. But my favorite one is our first one when the gate is about to explode with primordial seawater,
sea urine,
piss water, primordial piss water.
And it cuts down and we see Wriothesley and Clorinde down in the basement by the gate. And they're obviously been like, Traveler and Paimon are going to come help us. Let's just give it a second. All of a sudden, nosy busybodies come showing up, even though everybody else is leaving Marechaussee because there's like sirens, like, gonna blow up, evacuate. We go run down to the basement. And Clorinde's like, see, told you so. And we go with them and Wriothesley has to like freeze the water and they're in Clorinde's like they're doing this together. So like Clorinde has to like run out and Wriothesley's like freezing the water and her whole thing is she's got to shoot something so all the gates fall down before and like narrowly missing Wriothesley and then stand there and they have to protect it. And I'm not really sure at that point what Clorinde's doing because he's just freezing the water and she's just gonna shoot the water.
She shoots like a lock or something.
Yes,
that knocks
but
the
after
gate
that,
down. Yeah, she's just waiting.
She's just like, we're gonna hold the fort. You go get Nouvellette. And it's like, what are you doing though? Taking the sweat off his face?
Then Nuvi comes in though.
Yeah, Nuvi comes in, and then they both are sassy with Nuvi, and it's so great. Because they're like, what's your secret weapon? Huh? What you gonna do? Guess it's really a secret. Which makes me also go, Clorinde knows. I mean, we know that it's obvious at that point, and we talked about it in the Wriothesley episode. Wriothesley knows at that point about Nouvellette, but Clorinde knows too. Like, it's kind of like, we get it. We'll leave now so you can, quote unquote, do your thing. And they made a bet if Nuvi was going to come down by himself or bring a bunch of people just for show to be like, look, I needed all these other people to help.
They were like, we know that you are the piss master.
And Wriothesley's like, I told you it was just going to be him. And then we don't know what they actually bet because there's like a little joke about like what they potentially bet. And Nuvi's like, was it tea? Like, you little freaks. You little freaks in your loose leaf tea. I know how it goes.
Wriothesley's like, listen,
Yeah.
just go get me some tea from Cheneuville, and we'll be good.
But that's another big part for her, I think, at that point. We do see her before that as well. Like, she's the one who saves Fremine when he gets a little too close to the piss water. And we see her back at, like, in the warden's office and stuff like that.
Swimming, dragging his body through the piss water with her hat on.
With her hat on. She had to keep the piss water out of her hair.
She's got to have that clipped in so well to keep it from falling off in the water.
That hat is affixed to her head the way Yelan's cape is stuck on her arms.
With glue.
There's some super glue. It is galaxy glue to the max. In case I just also realized people probably don't know what galaxy glue is because I'm just old. And there was a movie called The Incredible Shrinking Woman, and she shrinks because she gets the galaxy glue, which has the greatest jingle, galaxy glue, because that's how a jingle goes. She gets it on her, and then she gets like stuck in the dryer, and then she shrinks. It's with Lily Tomlin.
What the fuck?
Oh, I love Lily Tomlin.
All I could think of when you were saying galaxy glue, it sounded like the start of Radio Killed the Video Star, or Video Killed the Radio Star. Like, I was like, is this real?
See, I'm tone deaf, so I may have been singing it off key, but it's galaxy glue, galaxy glue. What would you do without your galaxy glue?
I really hate it.
Her husband's a marketing executive and makes that jingle. She also sings a song because I know that you guys are loving my singing right now. She sings the best song that is, I wish I was a little bar of soap. I wish I was a little bar of soap so I could rub around your hiney and make it nice and shiny. Oh, I wish I was a little bar of soap. Doop, doop.
It sounds like a song a pedophile sings.
Me and my sister sing that to this day.
I hate it.
It's yeah.
I mean, at least it's promoting good hygiene.
It is. You rub it on your butt.
Clean your dirty ass.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the song that all the Wriothesley wanners sing.
Yeah. I have a t-shirt of a piece of soap that it's from Threadless and it says rub me on your butt.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, so guys, we're gonna hop over to Corinne's story quest. And before we jump too far into the story quest, I think we need to take a moment just to talk about something else. And that is the game Dungeons and Dragons that this story quest is basically all about. Nerds rejoice, myself included.
It's Dungeons and Dragons, but it's also Lord of the Rings.
What?
It's very much the story is Lord of the Rings. It's
like the story they follow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But the game itself, so they're playing a game. We'll talk a little bit more. We're obviously going to talk a lot about it, but it's a tabletop game. There's a tabletop troupe, and Clorinde is typically a GM, aka a game master. Now, Dungeons and Dragons, which is a game IRL here on Earth that Alice may have ripped off and brought to Fontaine, is a role-playing game where real-life people make characters that are supposed to be nothing like themselves or just like themselves, whatever you want them to be. You pick from different species, so you could be like a human, an elf, a gnome, an orc, a bunch of other things, and you can also pick a class, which means that like you're a rogue, or you're a ranger, or you're a cleric, whatever it might be. And they come with different abilities, and you get different skills and everything based off that. You also get skill points that you could put toward different things you think your character might need. So if you were a rogue, you might want to give yourself some points toward stealth or persuasion or whatever it might be. And some of those things you automatically get based off the classes or the race that you pick for your character to be. If you can't tell, I play Dungeons and Dragons. And I love it. I'm a big fan, D&D. And that is literally what we do here.
What's your character?
So in my main campaign, I play a character named Maeve. And Maeve is a human rogue. So rogues are like stealthy and they can steal easily and they're a little shady. But Maeve is like a naive new rogue. She really is doing it for other means, not to be shady.
Mm-hmm.
She's a bit of a different character. She's cool. She's confused half the time, but it's fine. She's really bad
I love
at
an
combat.
airhead rogue.
Yeah, and it's not that she's an airhead. It's just that like she hasn't really been exposed to the other nations in this world that we're in, because in D&D you can either choose to pick a world from a D&D book and you can go off of that and like pre-made maps and everything, or you could choose to do something called homebrewing, where you create the world yourself. So my friend homebrewed, so this is a world that she's created all her own, and my character's from a place that was just very like closed off. Like they're open-minded, but they don't really see and talk to people, but if you show up, they're like, oh my god,
so she's
welcome.
sheltered.
She's a little sheltered, and then like she lived a really good life until like 2 years ago, and then a bunch of people got murdered in her hometown. So
Tiff, have you played D&D?
I was about to play D&D in my very first campaign, had chosen that what I was going to be, and then on like basically the first night we were supposed to meet, the world shut down for COVID, and I have now taken that as a sign and have never played.
That's why COVID happened.
It's why COVID happened. I was supposed to go to the shoe store and I was supposed to play D&D, and then none of those happened. And the guy who was running the campaign moved to like New England and got married and had dogs.
And now you play Genshin barefoot.
Oh.
Yes.
I mean, it was on brand.
Mhm.
Tiff plays all of Tiff's Fortnite characters.
Yeah,
Like,
the majority of my Fortnite characters do not have shoes. And it annoys the crap out of Vanessa.
I mean, rightfully so.
Not what?
Put those dogs away.
What character were you? What was going to be your character?
I was going to be an elf, but what's the one that I guess would sing?
A bard.
A bard, yes.
So your race was an elf, but your class was a
I mean,
bard.
I can actually, you know what the funny part? I could still look it up.
While Tiff looks it up, I want to let you know, Brandon, that I'm also playing something called Pathfinder, and we start soon. It's a new thing for me. And Pathfinder is like an alternate RPG D&D kind of thing, and they have more classes and races, and in that one I'm playing an oracle.
Ooh.
So I'm really excited to start that and see how
So
that
you can
goes.
tell the future, sort of?
Yeah, but oracles have like almost like a negative counter against them. So anytime you use an oracle power, you kind of lose life because of it, and you have to do like a specific type of rest in order to get those like life points back.
I see.
Yeah, so it's fun.
I was a bard, and my whole thing was I like the ethereal Aquarianness of them.
Oh.
I thought I had like a secondary thing there, but I'm just literally reading maybe I was going to be a druid also.
Oh.
I have very long paragraphs of George telling me, because then I was like, wait, should I not be a bard? And he's like, well, you're not going to do a lot, but sure.
Bards are known for being the flirty characters. They try usually to sleep with everybody.
So, venti.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very true. He is a bard at heart in D&D.
I played D&D once, and I was a half-elf sorcerer.
Ooh. So our D&D experiences aside, D&D is a great game. If you have not played D&D or Pathfinder or something equivalent, even Baldur's Gate is basically D&D. Like, please check it out, especially if you liked Clorinde's Story Quest. It's great, and it's a great time. It's a great place to be creative and have some fun.
And bring the world to an end.
And bring the world to an end, which you can do in D&D. So Clorinde's story quest starts off with the Traveler and Paimon running into Navia and Clorinde, and they look seriously upset. And we're like, ooh, maybe we should go check on them. Maybe there's some bad shit happening. But in reality, they're just having a hard time finding someone else to join their tabletop game. They're trying to play a new tabletop game called Marechaussee Hunter Judgment Day, which is a new game coming from the tabletop troupe, which they are both members of. But they needed like one more person to join, and they can't find them. And they're basically like, did you ask Lynette? She said no. Did you ask Charlotte? She said no. They're running through literally every playable character except for Nouvelette and Wriothesley in Fontaine. And they're like, they said no. And then we show up and Navia's like, perfect. And of course we say yes. So Paimon's going to join us. She's going to play our floating companion because why aren't we just going to be exactly who we truly are?
I mean, it goes for the rest of them too. As they go on and choose their personas, they all are just playing themselves. So why shouldn't Paimon?
Yeah, but they pretty much decide that in the beginning. They're like, Paimon and Traveler are going to be paired up because we don't need that many new players. So we find out that this is a very different version of their tabletop game that they've ever played before, and that we're not going to be getting the entire script at once. And they're playing the equivalent of what's considered a one-shot, where like you're really supposed to be able to do most of this in a day, although this does take place over the course of 2 days. It's normally D&D, a campaign could last like months, years even. But it seems like in this, it was meant to be quick. We find out later it was meant to be a lot more permanent, too. But that's fine. So we find out we're not going to get the whole script at once, and that our GM, our game master, who is going to be Clorinde, she is only going to be getting certain parts of the script at a time, and that when we finish a part, she'll get the rest. So it's going to be an ongoing thing. And we're also told that we're not going to be just sitting at a table and playing. We're actually going to be going to various locations across Fontaine and playing, kind of making it more realistic. So we head over to Chiori Boutique, where we're going to start off and meet up with the rest of the players. And as we're walking away, Navia is like, who should I play? Would I be this or this? And Clorinde looks at her and is like, can you just stop trying to like persuade all the animals to do shit? Just leave them alone. Which I thought was very Tiff. Like Navia was being very Tiff in that moment.
There's a bit of Snow White in me. I love them. Did I tell you how I made eyes with a squirrel on a really hot day? And I could tell that like she was looking at me and she was just, because she then moved closer and I put some ice out on the grass and then she came over and ate it with me.
That's adorable.
It was cute. It was hot.
I want to share ice with a squirrel. It's like breaking bread with a squirrel.
Yeah. It also had a little bit of diet cream soda on it. So I think she was really excited about that too.
She was like on a sugar and caffeine high.
Yeah.
She's like, I've never had this before.
Like gathering all them nuts.
I have a picture of her. I'm going to show you the picture of her too. It's so fucking cute. We locked eyes. It was meant to be. She's my new friend.
Did Barry White start playing? Like...
she's my new best friend.
Also, I did just want to share that, like, for anyone wondering, like, how Clorinde came to be the GM of our dreams, she actually became sort of an expert GM by playing these games with Navia, these tabletop games with Navia from like a young age. Like Navia has all these tabletop games, and so Clorinde would play with her, and Clorinde, through that process, of course, became sort of an expert at dealing with Navia's sometimes torturous, imaginative meanderings during play. Like Navia is very much that player who's like, well, what if I just did this? And it's like steering the whole party so far away from where the GM wants you to go.
Yes.
And Clorinde like became like really good at sort of getting her back on track and like keeping the story going and not being annoyed by that. So she, originally just playing these games with Navia, once Navia had joined this tabletop troupe in Fontaine, Clorinde eventually expressed an interest in joining her. So Navia kind of introduced her to the troupe, and they all realized like she's so adept at this, and she's like really quick thinking, and she's very, her as a champion duelist, she's also very impartial, which helps her as a GM. Like she's not like swayed by people complaining or trying to bribe her to help their characters out. So that's kind of like the backstory of how she became this master GM person.
I actually have a note in my notes that says Navia about how Navia being a chaotic player, and she's literally like the type of person who's like accidentally romancing the big bad guy, insults the wife of the guy that's supposed to help you, so then he doesn't help you, and licks all the items and ends up like paralyzed 8 times during the campaign session. And I've experienced most of these things from characters.
And just to put a, put a little cherry on the top of what type of people we are. My note on it says Clorinde likes to be the GM because she likes to watch.
Oh,
So literally my note.
Wow.
so we go to Chiori Boutique and we find out that Linny and Farina are also playing with us. Linny says that he actually has played before and that sometimes he plays as a GM with his siblings and that he's really just a casual member of the tabletop troupe. Where Farina has never played before and is not a member of the tabletop troupe, but she's thinking maybe if she likes the way this goes, that she'll join. And they make sure to mention that Clorinde is considered a senior game master and that people really look up to her, and Clorinde gets very bashful about this.
I like also that this is like Farina in her civilian age. She's getting used to being just like Farina Nafosalor.
Yes, because this is all very obviously post-Archon too. So everything in the Fontaine Archon quest has happened. So this is also where Farina's comments about never seeing emotions on Clorinde comes out that Tiff mentioned earlier. But anyway, so then we get introduced to the script writer, Florian. And he says that we're going to be playing this game all as Marechaussee Hunters, and that from there we can really decide what type of character we are, like personality-wise and skill set-wise. But the rule is you have to be a Marechaussee Hunter. And it then gives us all a rundown quickly of Cassiodor and Remuria. So we head then to the first location, which is a beach kind of like on the northern end of the city of Fontaine, where there are a ton of snacks and tea, and everyone's pretty fucking hyped about it. And this is where we start the planning session, where we're making a character card, aka in D&D, a character sheet. And we learn about like what different proficiencies are and the different types of skill sets that your characters can have and all of that jazz. And Navia is like, I want to have really cool skills. And Clorinde's like, oh my God, she's going to make this a mayhem. Please stop, Navia. And then we also can pick like easy or authentic mode. So in D&D, there's something where you have to checks, and that's where you roll a d20, which is a 20-sided dice. The higher the number, the better your check is. So I might be trying to persuade Brandon to give me $1 million. And so I roll my dice, and if I get a 20, which is a nat 20, Brandon has to give me $1 million.
Y'all two are the ones with millions of Mora.
I said dollars. I'm talking real life cash, Brandon.
Oh. Yeah, I don't have that either.
I have $7 in my wallet.
I have no dollars in my wallet. I might have a quarter for parking.
Oh, so basically what's going to happen if you roll a 20 is I'm just going to hand you my empty wallet.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Some Monopoly money.
But if I rolled like a 2, you would probably not persuade you and you would laugh at me.
Right.
So that we work on some of those things and we get a rundown on the exact way that D&D is going to work. And then we can pick an easy mode or an authentic mode. So easy mode means that you pass all your checks automatically. And an authentic mode, instead of rolling a dice, you actually pick a card and the card has a number on it. And so I think Farina picks easy mode because she's really scared and she's a little like socially awkward and nervous about this. But Linny and I believe us both go with authentic mode, and Navia's like hardcore authentic mode. So then we start the story and we get to see the little art pieces for all the characters. They had these beautiful sketches of them as Dungeons and Dragons characters.
Yeah, it was very cute.
We need them as skins, honestly.
Mhm.
That'd be cute. Especially, I mean, they do keep bringing up the tabletop troupe keeps coming back up in like the little side anecdotes and stuff like that. So maybe we're going that way. Maybe it's possible.
Hopefully.
I want like tons of skins for every character.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because they have so many outfits, as we've talked about before, that are in their designs already. But anyway, so Clorinde starts to set the scene, and we find out that in the world this game takes place in, when the world was formed, there were evil sorcerers that tried to kill all humans, but the Marechaussee Hunters came together and they stopped that shit. We get a message as a hunter, each of our characters, that we should go to this specific place, and when we get there, we find other people who we assume are just like us and must also be hunters who got this message. It's so funny because they each start to introduce themselves and their characters, and they are all playing themselves as a hunter, which is what Tiff had said earlier. Besides the Traveler's playing as a doctor, I believe, in all variations.
Yeah, but like the Travelers also just being practical, like, which seems to be our thing.
Yeah.
Linny is doing the sleight of hand, Farina is doing the theatrical, Navia is being a people person, and we're just like, we're gonna be practical and make sure nobody dies.
I wish we all could just be that practical in the game.
Yeah.
So each hunter introduces themselves, and then they open an envelope that they each got, and it basically says that lands over by the capital have been overrun by monsters, and we need to go save them to bring back the peace. And the map that we're given looks so much like Mondstadt. And all of the graphics and visuals that we're given are Mondstadt. Like, we're basically just in Mondstadt for this. We also look at this letter and note that a ton of people have signed it. And it's clear that these are all people who live in the capital who want our help. So they've all signed off on this letter and they've all asked for our assistance. So we go there and we decide to go straight to the tavern, aka Dawn Winery. I'm sorry, aka Angel Share. And we're going to see if we can find any information there because there are gossip holes. And outside, we see a very distraught woman. And she mentions that the monsters have just made everyone's days terrible. And so we pick a card to persuade or whatever we're doing. And she starts to tell us about a horde of monsters that the guards have recently fought off as they got closer to the capital. She even mentions that her husband was deployed and she doesn't know where he was sent. So then we leave her. We then go and find a merchant that we talk to and we ask for intel. And he's like, well, what are you going to pay me? And so Linny offers him money and he basically scoffs in the guy's face. So what do? Farina plays a song and he's kind of like, y'all are crazy, but I'll tell you this anyway. There are monsters that are, if you go right outside the city, and they are destroying all of our trade routes, and nobody has made any steps toward creating a plan of action to get rid of them. He notes that the nobles really don't seem to care, and he honestly wouldn't be surprised if the nobles were working with the monsters. And this is where I'd like to take a pause just to say that Clorinde is doing the voices for all of these characters, and she is switching for them all. And I feel like Clorinde's voice actor, Crystal Lee, just has to be given like a little round of applause for voicing Clorinde, voicing these other characters.
Yeah, she did a great job.
It was so fun. But so we leave the merchant and we go to the city square where we see this very sad looking guy and he recognizes us. He's like, oh my God, you're the Marechaussee Hunters. I'm one of the villagers who wrote the letters to you guys. Honestly, didn't think y'all were real, was starting to give up hope that you were going to show up. And he tells us some lore about how these monsters, when they originally came about years and years ago, Cassiodor had fought them off. But now, none of them know what to do because it's many years later, and none of these people have ever seen a monster, so they don't even know how to fight them because they've never had to. And he tells us that if we leave through the gate, we should be able to move forward, find some guards, and they should be able to tell us where the monsters are. But he also makes note that there are evil sorcerers working from within the city gates. At this point, we take a break from the game, and our characters of Linny, Navia, Farina, and the Traveler sit back and try to discuss if we should deal with the sorcerer first or the monsters first. At this point, Clorinde gives everyone some more backstory about the IRL Marechaussee Hunters, just to give them an idea of what it might have been like, and she also gives some additional details on Remuria. And when they're talking about the Marechaussee Hunters, Farina does say, it could be tough shouldering everyone else's problems. And I was like, oh, baby girl, so sorry. So the group decides that they're going to tackle the monsters first, not the sorcerers, and we go back into the game, where our Marechaussee Hunters leave the city gates, and we find a guy claiming to be the captain of the guard who seems very hurt. And when he approaches us, he's very accusatory. He does not know who we are. He thinks we're evil. When we tell him that we're Marechaussee Hunters, he kind of scoffs at us. But we notice his injury and he lets us try to help. He starts to trust us and we persuade him to tell us where the monsters are. And we leave him to recover. We go and there's like a few sets of guards that we run into. And I just want to say the last set of guards were my favorite because the one guard is yelling, turn around. Don't come here. Like, turn around while you can. And the guy next to him is pointing to where the monsters are. So it's like, what do you want me to do? So we find the monsters, they are rift towns, and of course they circle us, and we end up in a combat phase. And once the monsters are taken out, Navi explores the area and finds a treasure chest that we dig out of the ground, and we find a fortune. So this is another place where we come out of the world to discuss what we should do with the treasure. Should we keep it for ourselves, or should we give it back to the people who are being rampaged by these monsters and therefore economically suffering since their trade routes are being destroyed? There's a bit of an argument about what to do here, and Clorinde decides that maybe we should call it a night, and we'll come back tomorrow to decide what we're doing. And anyway, from here, we're supposed to go to a new location. Before we leave, though, Clorinde ends up opening up about her childhood. So Clorinde tells us that her parents abandoned her when she was young, and that she lived with her master from a young age, and that her master actually gave her a short sword at the age of 3.
As one does.
Yes, as all Genshin characters were gifted swords at the age of 3, if I'm not correct. And that she cut her hand on the sword and she bled a ton. And her master was like, I'll teach you how to bandage this wound properly and then how to properly hold the sword.
Yeah. But like Petronella is like, you should have known.
Yeah.
You're 3. You've seen this shit all the time. You should have known how to hold the sword, and it's your fault.
One of the worst things about there being so many orphans in Teyvat is that you're only left with people to take care of them who have no clue how to raise children.
Yeah.
Because Petronilla just awful as a parent.
Yeah.
And I mean, probably didn't even identify as a parent, really. But it's really sad for
That's very
Clorinde.
true.
I mean, Clorinde had a really tough childhood under her.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't help that then she did that when she was 3, and then when she was 5, she's like, here's a Geovissop hatchling.
Yeah.
Maybe she's your pet. Maybe she's not. But you should fight once a week, and then you'll find out who really is the pet. And it was like, I think the rest of the group at this point is like, wait, what? They did what? And she's just like, what? Yeah, that's just normal.
Yeah. Petronilla is like the anti-D-Luke. Like, she is a vigilante called the Protector of Justice. She fought at night wearing a black cloak. So there's like this aspect of her that is like very Dark Knight hero. But then, you know, she gets saddled with this orphan and basically just starts like, I guess I'll just turn her into a hard ass too. But it's like she's doing it from when Clorinde is 3 years old going forward.
Yeah.
Didn't it say that like by like 7, she was like hunting in the wild by herself or something crazy?
It was like she had mastered the forest by 6.
Yeah. It's very Kaniche.
Who do you think is a worse master to have? Skirk's master, who I'm forgetting what their name is.
Turtology.
Thank you. Like, you're going to say it, and I'm going to be like, duh. So, Skirk, Turtology, Petronella, or Gold?
Certology. I'm going to say Certology. Because didn't Certology like slaughter, like he slaughter Skirk's?
Skirk's alive. I don't know what you mean.
But like her planet, did
Yeah.
he like slaughter her planet or something?
Yeah, like yeah.
We got to do a
But
Skirk
he
episode.
wasn't the master when he slaughtered it. He was just a guy.
But he was like grooming her at that point.
Gross.
I forget the story. I'd have to look back into it. But I remember thinking, oh, Skirk is like next level evil, because I mean, not Skirk, Certology's like next level evil, because Skirk is sort of like her whole driving force in life is to get good enough to kill him.
Yeah.
But also, isn't that kind of child's driving force in life is to beat Skirk?
I don't think that child wants to kill Skirk. I think that child wants to beat a lot of people and just like out of the sheer I won. I don't think he actually wants to murder her.
Yeah, he just wants to like best her in battle.
But I feel
Yeah.
like at the same time, Child knows that winning against Skirk means she has to properly go down, you know?
I don't know. I feel like he wants to fight everybody. And he's just like, yeah, let's spar. I want to win everybody, and I want to be like the champion. I want to be the champion duelist.
That'd be a good litmus test for like how evil is Child.
Yeah.
He does want to fight Clorinde, though. Definitely mention that.
He wants to fight Arlecchino. Does he just want to fight women?
Well, he knows they're superior. No offense, Brandon.
None taken, I agree. Did we want to talk more about Petronilla and Clorinde's history before we jump back into the story quest? Or do we want to save that?
Well, we do find out more here.
Okay.
So we find out about the Geova shop pet. She was fully able to navigate the forest by the age of 6. And they start to talk about the fact that she really didn't know a lot of children, but one day she met Navia and the two became really good friends.
Yeah, and they met because Petronilla was friends with Navia's father.
Callas.
Yes. And Callas knew Petronilla's secret identity.
Yes, and she was called the Protector of Justice or the Protector of Order, and apparently she had a ton of nicknames, but those were the two that really stuck. And she went missing 20 years ago. She just kind of vanished from out of the air. And Clorinde said she didn't leave a message, she didn't leave a note or any hints or anything. And that basically Clorinde was celebrating her 10th birthday at Navia's house when Petronella never came to pick her up.
Yeah. So not only is she traumatized by the way Petronilla raised her, just by the way, another fun anecdote of her childhood was that Petronilla, first taught Clorinde swordsmanship, the Marechaussee Hunter swordsmanship, which is great now. But when she was a child, I'm sure there were other ways she could have been spending her time. But she did this by confining her to a room filled with rotating pillars that had wooden swords pointing out of it, with cloth bags tied to the tips of the swords. And they were filled with like either candy or metallic sand or all the hair that I've lost by trying to teach you.
Yo.
So she was just like locked in this room, like fighting these like swords sticking out of rotating pillars through a lot of her childhood, it sounds like.
What a terrifying childhood.
And when Clorinde was 10, like Feeny was saying, Petronilla, she just disappears without saying goodbye, leaves her a blue cape and printed with the Marechaussee Hunter insignia, a necklace with her name carved into it, her sword, and we find out one of the Marechaussee Hunter keys that are passed down from generation to generation.
And this is how Clorinde joined the cast of Kick-Ass.
It made me think of Sayu.
Oh.
Because didn't that something similar happen with her? Like her master just disappeared one day?
Where did they go?
I feel like that was a common trope in the Shumatsuban, though. Everybody was disappearing.
Yeah, but I feel like he was like very much like, I'm gonna disappear like once I think you're ready. And it was very kind of this vibe of like, I'm doing this to teach you self-sufficient.
So you don't think anything nefarious happened at Petronilla? You think that she was just like, all right, as Clorinde goes on to say, it's like when a mother cat lets a kitten go. Like, it's your time, do it. Or do you think she's dead?
I think so, because she left her these items.
But like, she also could have assumed that someone was watching her or something, and she was like, let me give Clorinde these things and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you never know.
I definitely think it's left up for debate. The story quest definitely gives no answers to that. And that's also like the kitten thing is like Clorinde's theory. I almost felt like it was just the way Clorinde was making herself feel better.
Yeah.
Which is really sad.
I wonder if she ever thought, though, oh shit, maybe she's dead.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Navia does say that Callas did send like a secret like group to go try and like investigate and try and find her. So they did try like just to make sure that she wasn't like in a ditch somewhere, like waiting for like it was Clarence's like final test. Like she went and like hid somewhere and she's just sitting there waiting, go, Clarence, you're supposed to just come find me. Like, what the hell?
Right. Yeah, because Callas, being Petronilla's friend, he was even like, I have no idea where she is. I haven't heard from her either. And yeah, like, they couldn't find any trace of her at all. Maybe she dissolved.
She got pissed on?
Oh, man.
She's pissed. She turned into piss. Clorinde, I'm sorry, but we found a yellow puddle over by the fountain.
So, yeah, Clorinde's 10th birthday doesn't get picked up from Petronella. She goes home and finds that Petronella has disappeared without a trace. So she kind of finishes up, and Farina's like, damn, I didn't know this bitch had a sad story. So we come back the next day to return to playing, and we are in the Fleuve Cendré, which is I like to call it Poisson Part 2. It's like the Spina de Rosa's place that's like underground in the city.
Well, it's underground in the city or underground in the country, because Poisson not very high up either. These bitches like to be under the ground.
They're just in hiding.
They're like the mole. What were they called? The mole women from
The
Unbreakable
moment.
Kimmy Schmidt.
Yes. Mole women, yeah. And one of them, like, oh, man, I just had so many flashbacks. I can't even speak. I love that show. I haven't watched it in forever.
Is John Hamm going to show up?
Yes, I hope so. Have you ever seen that, Beans?
Yeah, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Yeah, of course.
It's so good.
So good.
It is. But what wasn't unbreakable was the story. So we show up and we're in the Fleuve Cendré and we're in a setting that looks like a fake jail cell and everyone is kind of moaning and groaning. We're going to get thrown in jail, aren't we? But before we even get started playing, Navia whips out a short sword and she's like, guys, this is the short sword from Clorinde's childhood story. And I was just like, Navia, what the fuck? And she's like, yeah, like, Clorinde gave it to me to keep during some, like, weird circumstances. But, like, let's play! And we're like, okay. And so we go back to playing a tabletop. And our characters decide that we're going to give the treasure back to the villagers. So we go back to the square to find the man who had written to us and told us what to do. And instead we find several guards who yell to us and tell us that the king wants to see us. And we agree to go. When we get to the king's room, the king is acting very sus. And only a minister is really talking. He's like, the king is tired, so I'm going to talk for him. But Farina's like, I bet the king has no idea what's actually happening, and the minister's in charge. And I'm like, good call, Farina.
And that is one of the parts of the Lord of the Rings tie-ins there, is that it's totally Theoden and Rohan. Like, the worm tongue is in his ear and, like, telling him all the shit, and he's completely possessed by Saruman, and he's not himself. It's almost like it just follows it exactly. And even the sword, which we will get to in a second.
I've never seen Lord of the Rings.
What? Like, none of them?
I think I've seen the first one.
Wow.
Did you even read, like, The Hobbit when you were a kid?
Do I look like Bucky Barnes?
I don't even know what that means. Oh my God.
There's a great divide between your nerddoms.
Yeah.
James Buchanan Barnes, aka Bucky, aka the Winter Soldier, read The Hobbit when it first came out.
He's a Marvel character too.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if he was a 911 guy.
No, I just have a thing for characters named Bucky. Anyway, so the minister is like, well, thank you for killing off all these monsters, but I'm not really sold on the fact that you did it. So we proved to him that we did it, and he's like, okay, cool. So where's the treasure that you found with the monsters? And we're like, how do you know about the treasure? And he's like, well, I need the treasure back. And then he's like, you just said it yourself that we deserve to be awarded for what we did, so, like, let us keep the treasure. And he's like, well, actually, you're now stealing something that rightfully belongs to the kingdom and the royal kingdom of that. And because of that, we're going to throw your ass in jail. And so we get thrown in jail. And they confiscate all of our weapons. And they confiscate the treasure. Navia tries to do what every dungeon master hates. And she tries to play around it. She goes, well, what about the knife that I hid in my boot? And Clorinde goes, when did you do that? And Navia's like, and she goes, they took that too. They knew your trick. You have no weapons. And Clorinde stops. And they're like, what's wrong? And she's like, well, that's where the script ends. So we go back to talking about the short sword. And we find out through Farina that this sword is probably hundreds of years old. And they're like, oh my God, was your master that old? And Clorinde's like, no, it was just handed down to her, which I don't necessarily believe, but that's fine. And Navia is like, oh my God, why did you give me a family heirloom if it was this old? Like, I didn't realize that this sword had so much more meaning to it than I originally thought. And Clorinde says that she was trying to maintain their friendship. And she's basically like, bro, I had just killed your dad, and I wanted you to believe in me still, so I gave you this sword. And then Navia is kind of like, oh, yeah, when I lost my dad, it felt like I had also lost a good friend.
These are the best moments, in my opinion, of the story quest, is how it so gracefully handles the tension between Clorinde and Navia, being that they used to be really close friends. And then, of course, you're like, well, how could they ever be friends again if Clorinde killed Navia's father? Which, we've talked about in past episodes, like when we covered the Archon quest and stuff. But it's like, yeah, how can you? And they really kind of are actually confronting that, but from almost like from the side by doing it during this tabletop game.
Yeah.
And it's really just kind of like almost even like a subplot of what's actually happening. But I thought it was so well done, and so like they weren't afraid to leave like silence in the dialogue and to like make it uncomfortable for everyone else.
Yes.
So I thought it was really well done, how they explored that.
I'd agree.
And Farina is also a good element to that, because Farina is feeling so awkward this whole time because she remembers watching this duel. And she remembers watching Clorinde kill Callas and kind of having those feelings back then, but having to play it off as the ha ha ha, we have a winner type of vibe. So she feels very like, I almost feel like she has like some guilty conscience about it. But awkward tensions aside, it's all good because Clorinde then gets a delivery of a new script. So we push all that awkwardness aside and we go back to playing. Our characters, as you might recall, are in jail with no weapons. And a guard approaches the door and basically is like, yo, I'm actually a Marechaussee Hunter as well. And the king put out a decree that y'all are all going to be executed. So this guard is trying to save the characters and get them out of jail. We're like, well, can you prove you're a hunter? And he's like, guys, we do not have time for that. I have your weapons, but your weapons aren't going to be enough to defeat this enemy. You're going to need a super special powerful weapon that is in a vault, and he gives us a map and tells us where to go. He also says that he's going to stay behind so he could throw off the other guards, and says that he will end up helping us in the final battle. So we go, and this is a physical thing. We move locations, and we find this odd rock, so Navia blows it up as she does, and there's like a little watering hole that we have to swim in. And so we swim through, and when we come to the other side, we see that there's a door. And it looks like it's been there for a very long time, and it has a symbol on it that looks like Clorinde's hat, which we later find out I later found out, I didn't realize it at the time, was a symbol for the Marechaussee Hunters. And Clorinde seems a little confused, like a little perplexed. She's like, this is a totally like the type of puzzle that my master would set up. What is going on? So we investigate the area to find clues on how to solve the puzzle and open the door. And after solving each of the 3 puzzles, we get a key. And Clorinde realizes that these keys look exactly like the one that her master left her. And she reminisces about how there were 4 keys that the Marechaussee Hunters left behind, and how other descendants or proteges of those hunters had the keys, one being the one that Clorinde has. So Clorinde tries to continue on, and she mentions to our characters that all the flames go out, and she makes all the characters close their eyes to make it real, which I thought was fun.
You will be immersed in this story.
Yes, she was like, blindfolds on. But then a quote-unquote real Marechaussee Hunter shows up, and it's a little confusing because you're not sure who it is at first. But Clorinde makes us pretend to fight with our eyes closed while she actually takes on the enemy. When Clorinde finishes taking on the enemy, we realize that the enemy is Florian, our script writer. He's claiming that he is a Marechaussee Hunter from real life and from the past, and that there's no honor in being a hunter, and that the hunters weren't given the kudos and credits that they deserved, and that his dad was one of those hunters, and he received no celebration. And that when his dad died, no one came to his funeral and acknowledged the fact that a hunter had died. And he says how he is trying to get to the hunter's treasure, but has needed the 4th and final key to open the door. Clorinde then opens the door using her key, and we see this giant shrine with a bunch of swords and stuff there. And Farina, Traveler, and Paimon are super hyped about the treasure until they get inside, and they're really disappointed because it's just a stone slab that has a bunch of names on it and a bunch of old swords and bows. And while all of the players in this game are like, what the fuck is this? Florian has what Clorinde calls a mental breakdown. And And while the characters are looking and reading off of the plaque and looking at the weapons, Clorinde takes Florian aside and he basically comes back to his senses a little bit and he starts to freak out, saying that he set up explosives in the cave, which I was like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Psycho.
Like, yeah, it was, it's so funny because you said earlier, Tiff, that she gave Yelan vibes, and there was also explosives in a cave in Yelan's story quest.
Maybe I really can tell the future.
Maybe. So Clorinde is like, don't worry, bro, I already dismantled them. And Florian is still panicking, and he says he feels like there was something inside of him, and that it didn't belong to him, and it was very bitter over what happened to his father, and this bitterness just completely consumed him, and that he was hearing a voice inside of him telling him to kill all hunters. And so Clorinde is like, oh, that's a Devorator, and it's a special monster that was sealed away by the hunters, and it basically can go inside your brain and make you do things and think things and say things. And Florian's like, huh, when my father left and died, when he died, he didn't really leave. When he died.
He left because he was dead.
Because he dead. Maybe he was the guy who had the cardiac arrest.
Maybe.
Well, no, that was a champion duelist. But Florian is like, when my dad died, he left me a key, like the one Clorinde had. And he also told me that I had to keep track of this seal. And I totally forgot to check on the seal for a very long time. And I came down here to check on the seal because it was the seal locking up this treasure, quote unquote. And then everything got fuzzy. And Clorinde's like, oh, the Devorator must have broken out of the seal because it was locked away by all these hunters.
It might be Devorator, by the way, but it's
Travelers,
one of the two.
Bear with us.
I forgot how they pronounced it in the actual story quest.
This demon. And he says everything got fuzzy, and Clorinde's like, yeah, obviously the seal was keeping this demon locked away. You didn't take care of it. The demon started to seep out, and it took control of you because you're weak.
And a bad son, because you didn't do the one thing that your dead dad asked you to do.
Yeah, that you're now like threatening to kill people over. And he does say that he was able to get these other keys from the other hunters, but he was never able to get Clorinde alone. And this was like the only way he felt he could get her key was to put it into tabletop. And Clorinde's like, that's fine. And so we're all like talking about this treasure, and they finally have this like really kumbaya moment where they're like, the real treasure is the legacy the hunters left behind.
And Paimon's like, where's the money?
So Florian, meanwhile, tells Clorinde, like, yo, I never finished writing this script. And she's like, well, now you have to. You have no choice. We need to finish this plot so that my friends over here don't realize that you are possessed by a demon. Don't worry. I'm not going to tell my friends that you're the bad guy. I'm going to make them think this was all part of the game. So Florian's like, hey, guys. And first off, he's like very excited. And Clorinde's like, tone it down. So Florian's like, I was possessed by a sorcerer, and we need to go and like fight the final battle. And while we're doing that, everyone's like kind of looking at the weapons or whatever, and Clorinde comes back into play, and she's like, everyone should take a weapon with them. And they're talking about how there are all these names of old hunters on this tablet, and how they kind of connect to them. Like, Linny feels like he could connect to this guy named Walter, who was on the tablet. And Farina feels like she could connect with Est, who was the person that took over for Cassiodor. And we've actually talked a lot about Est, I believe, in our Remuria episode. So Linny takes Walter's bow, and Farina takes Est's sword, but Navia doesn't take anything. And the Traveler kind of just takes a random sword. And Paimon is like, this is so crazy. Like, how did all of these people's like stories go untold? They're so cool. And Florian's like, well, that's the way they wanted it. They just wanted to be known by each other. They weren't looking for the glory of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So Florian leads us to the big fight against the quote-unquote sorcerer, aka this demon. And before going in, Clorinde pulls Florian aside. And she's like, I don't think you should go in with us. You've already been like possessed by this demon once before. I don't want it to happen to you again. And Florian is like, no, I'm obviously a weak link, and that works well, because if I go in there, it's going to possess me and not one of your friends. And Clorinde's like, you do know that means I might have to kill you? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I caused this drama to begin with, and I should shoulder that responsibility. So they kind of shake hands and agree, and we go in, and there's a super awesome cutscene where immediately Florian gets possessed again, very quickly, and turns into one of those like geo statues that we fight a lot down in the island, the area under Petrichor that's not really Remuria.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is able to kind of take control of the spirits of the people's weapons they have. So Farina kind of becomes Est, Linny becomes Walter, Traveler becomes somebody, and then Navia comes out with Petronella's short sword that she had from earlier and is like, Petronella is the one hunter I really love, basically. They all like fight and they win. And Clorinde kind of does the final shot on Florian, but he lives, so all is good.
Yeah, and isn't she like thankful of Petronella, like when she's summoning her, quote unquote, summoning her,
For giving her her
or
best friend.
saving her friend, basically for like saving her orphan friend?
Yes, and like I wanted to cry.
Yeah, it's emotional.
And then it ends, and Farina's like, yo, that was great. Bye, guys. And she leaves. And they all sit there in quiet, listening to the footsteps. And then Navia and Linny are both like, yo, what the fuck was that, Clorinde? We all know that wasn't part of your game. And then the Traveler and Paimon are like, wait, what? And then they basically talk about how they all knew the ending was totally not part of the game and that it was all real.
I love it. I love it that Farina. So wait, Farina's the one that left, right?
Yeah, she was like, bye, guys. That was fun.
So she like totally bought it that
Yeah.
like that it was all just fantasy. And it's so funny to me because she used to like preside over all of these trials.
Yeah.
But she's like not able to see like what the truth is like when they're playing this fantasy game. It's just really
Mhm.
funny to me.
She's like, this ain't my job anymore. I just live in
She's
bliss.
like, yeah, she's like, I get to
Ignorance
just
is
embrace
bliss.
fantasy and like
Yeah.
And yeah, Florian wakes up and lives, and that's really where everything ends.
I do like when I think like Clorinde brings back up Navia saying like, hey, thanks Petronella for my friend. And she's like, that was nice that you said. She's like, it was just what my character would say. So, I just had to do that. And she's like, thanks. She's like, I know. And gets all blushy. It's like, it's very cute. Like the way that whole thing goes down.
Yeah, I love the two of them.
no. And Florian was going to turn himself in, right? But doesn't Clorinde basically say, why don't you just, try to make it up to the other hunters whose keys you took?
Mm-hmm.
And basically gives him a second chance.
Let them say if you should be punished by it anyway.
Yeah. Because she says like just accept whatever terms they give you.
Yeah.
But that she says like his work as a hunter is more important than like above ground than below. In other words, like you don't need to be like wasting your skills down in Maripede. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also totally missed that and thought she was saying like you don't need to be like an underground person. You should be out and like
Don't be a
above
mole
ground.
woman.
Don't be a mole woman.
Totally. And then as you were
Crying.
saying, I was like, oh, Maripede. That's what she meant. Yeah.
I love that.
But like they go on and talk a little bit more too about the whole thing of like, the hunters didn't want the fame, like we said. And Clorinde asked like Traveler, like, what do you think about like your journey? And like, what if your deeds are forgotten? And of course, Traveler is just like, it doesn't matter. Like we helped people and we helped our friends, and it doesn't matter if no one remembers. We know what we did. And she's like, yeah, that's kind of nice.
You're like, okay.
She's like, that's how I'm gonna live. And that's kind of like the part too where it says go. She doesn't have to say like, yeah, my truth is unspoken also. Like, it's okay. Nobody needs to know what I was doing. I just was fixing shit. Maybe not in those words.
I mean, I hope it was in those words.
Yeah. Uh-huh. You could need an enmity. Anonymity. An enemy. I can't say it.
A sea anemone. A piss anemone.
What? No.
I can't say that word. Anonymity.
Anonymity.
Thank you.
You need to be anonymous.
Yes, that.
I also love at the end, Clorinde and Navia have like one more little scene, and Clorinde sort of confronts Navia about what she said, during the summon, during the battle when she was calling on Petronilla. And Navia becomes kind of embarrassed and was like, well, it was true to my character, but I did mean it. And Clorinde, says she appreciates it. And then Navia like quickly kind of runs ahead and like just kind of avoids the sappiness. And I thought that was like a nice kind of realistic thing. Like I like that they still kind of respect this divide between them. That's probably going to always be there because Clorinde killed her father, but that they do still care about each other. And they are still, good friends, but there's still always going to be that little kind of awkwardness between them.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, but your dad wants me to kill him.
Yeah. He basically made her kill him.
And I think that's really an important part too of their friendship outside of like this story quest is that like Navia didn't have the full truth of what really happened between Clorinde and Callas for a very long time because Callas asked Clorinde to keep it a secret. If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, he didn't want his daughter to find out everything
that he was involved in.
Yeah.
And he was also trying to protect Navia because as the leader of the Spina de la Rusa, the Spina, as the ruler of the Spina, he knew his daughter would become a target, even if he wasn't guilty. So it was easier to die. And so Clorinde did not tell Navia that, and it comes out during the Archon quest. And Navia is kind of able to take all those emotions and be like, oh, I should have been projecting this on my father, not you. Like, my father put you in a terrible situation as my best friend. And, I think Callas hoped that Clorinde would be the one he got because he knew that Clorinde would follow the rules the most, where the other champion duelist may have folded and not killed him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or he'd be like, Clorinde, my other daughter, just do it.
Just murder me.
Murder.
She was raised by Petronilla, so she's like, okay.
Yeah. Stabby.
But side of Navia, Clorinde doesn't necessarily have the most friends. She used the body card for Farina, and now, Clorinde and Farina seem to be friendly. Like, Clorinde was the first person to really go check on Farina when she became a normal human again. And Clorinde invites Farina to come play tabletop, so they're becoming friendly. She's not really friends with Chevreuse, though she says, quote unquote, I think she's outstanding about Chevreuse, which is like very direct. She's like, she's being sued for being too forceful with people, and then she becomes really forceful again in court, which scares them off. She's outstanding. I was like, okay, Clorinde, calm down.
I do think, by the way, just going back to Farina real quick, I do think it's interesting that Clorinde is sort of, unless I'm forgetting someone, I feel like Clorinde is sort of the best candidate for like Farina's best friend.
Oh, yes. Besides us.
I think it says a lot that Clorinde was her first guest to come into her new house after the Archon quest. And Neuvillette was like, here's your new little tiny house.
Yeah.
And so she was like her first guest, and she, she didn't just convince Farina to like come out while she was depressed. She also like brought her out and like had other friends around and like got Farina to have fun for the first time after everything happened and she was so depressed at home. And I think that when you think about, Clorinde's kind of disposition, I think that says a lot. Like she was like really looking out for Farina.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the idea of them exploring that friendship more because I feel like we always get Clorinde with Navia, but I would like to see her with Farina a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So outside of that, to be honest, Clorinde's only other friends really seem to be Wriothesley, possibly. A little bit of Siegewein. Like, she really sees Siegewein as like a good noodle, and she hopes that like her good noodleness rubs off on the prisoners. And while Siegewein has a hard time understanding Clorinde, she's always giving Clorinde makeup, and Clorinde uses it, and that makes Siegewein very giddy. And the only other person, and I don't even think they're friends, is Fremine that she has a deeper connection with, because Fremine is very grateful to Clorinde for saving his life.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't need anything. And Fremine's like, no, I feel like you put out so much energy and like care for me that I need to give you something in return. And he has sent her like a handwritten thank you note and like a little like mechanical toy that he made. And she's very like bashful about how she has to thank him and like find him, which is very sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she doesn't really have like any relationships with any of our other characters. Like Linny, I mean, she plays tabletop with him apparently, and she thinks he's a good magician. She's bought clothes from Chiori, but prefers the uniform. Lynette is scared of her. She is kind of scared of Emily, I think, a little bit. Like she's kind of like, she's sus. I know what she actually does for work. And then she also has a bit of a relationship with Eula more recently when the knights returned to Mondstadt and they held their big party. One of the events that you could do was like a bartending event, and Eula and Clorinde were both involved, and they were like teaching each other their skills.
Which is exciting.
It's more of that like cross trade that we talked about when Beefy was on.
Yeah, like, so Eula is learning Marechaussee Hunter techniques, and Clorinde is learning Favonius techniques.
Which is awesome to see. And nice to know that they're not enemies.
Oh yeah, that'd be hilarious if they were.
I mean, she still does want vengeance, but
what if she was like, vengeance will be Navia's?
yeah.
Another like little fun interaction is she does have an anecdote in Nod Cry with Navia where they're playing tabletop with Yehoda and Itlua at the flagship.
Yeah.
And then at the end they leave to go find Flint's to invite him to play. So
do you think he plays?
I think so.
Flint's?
Yeah.
I think I feel like in the anecdote Itlua was like kind of made it sound like I don't think he's played before, but he would definitely be into it. So they're like, all right, let's go invite him.
I feel like he'll do anything Itlua says.
Yeah,
So,
I think so.
like, if Itlua was like jump, he'd be like, how high?
What if he just like turned into a lamp and was like a part of like the props for the game?
Oh my god, I would hate
It's like, look, guys, I'm immersed.
I'm immersed. No.
But I think that anecdote though really shows how it's gonna like, because it was quite a while between this story with this story quest coming out and then that anecdote. So I'm hoping that it means that we're gonna see it again.
Yeah, I hope so.
Maybe Sino will leave his leave TCG for a minute and join.
Yeah, okay.
They really did set up like a repeatable thing with the tabletop troop.
Oh yeah.
Like you could see them in any update at any time, just like stumbling upon any characters playing. That's really cool.
And that's what they did with TCG when it first came out too. Like I feel like you just randomly saw like treasure hoarders playing it.
Yeah.
I hate them for spreading it. Making Sino's life better.
Yeah, we would hate that.
I hate it. And just the last thing to note on my notes about Clorinde is just that, you know, she got her vision during a champion duel, if I'm remembering correctly.
It is.
She was fighting a rich merchant who was found guilty of exploiting his workers, and he paid off people in the crowd to create doubt about his judgment. So they start stirring up the crowd during the duel until like everyone is yelling, and it sort of like intimidates Clorinde because she wasn't like the one all be all duelist yet. She was still like working her way up, I believe. And she kind of has this crossroads moment when all this is happening of like, wait, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe they're right. And like, maybe it's not, you know, okay to be doing this. But then she kind of faces down like all the chanting and everything and like finds her resolve to beat him. And then when she does, she like breaks his sword in two and her vision appears on her collar.
Which, that would freak me out.
I know.
Just throwing that out
She's like,
there.
what the hell is that?
Why is there something on my neck? Like, where did this come from?
I would immediately assume it was a bug.
No.
Like, spider.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people got their vision for a good work ethic. I feel like that's what she got hers because she was good at her job.
Yeah, and she like found her resolve to like
Follow
do
the
what's
rules.
right and not sort of cave into the chaos that was happening around her.
Yeah.
You know, there actually was one other thing I wanted to bring up. I'd love to know what you guys thought about this too. But Clorinde, she really struggles with fame, which is something we don't really see with a lot of our fighter characters. She has a few voice lines like where she talks about Charlotte and how Charlotte is the only like respectable reporter because she doesn't like chase her around. She talks about how people like will write stories about how she's like eating an apple. She's really treated like an actor or an actress in like the in our world.
She's got the paparazzi.
Yeah, she does.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that goes like because her job as the champion duelist is such a widely like known kind of entity, but her Marechaussee Hunter side of her is like, no. Like I don't do it for the fame. I do it for the righteousness, and she can't come to terms with that.
I
Yeah.
also feel like it's just like this is my job. Like stop.
Well, there was also like this whole, when she was on the rise as the champion duelist, a lot of people, because she kept winning over and over and over again, people thought that she was using tricks in her duels, especially because a lot of the people she ended up fighting were these quote unquote gentlemen, sort of like the rich merchant,
Mm-hmm.
And many of these men, they would use tricks. Like they would have guns in their hats, knives in their shoes, powder bottles in their sleeves. So people would witness like all of these shenanigans going on, and she would still beat them every time. And people were like, how does she do it? And so all these rumors started swirling around her that she had like this supernatural or maybe some kind of technical hidden advantage. And it got to the point where like the court had to release a statement that she was not using anything to help her. And then that didn't really work. That people were still like very skeptical. So then the court had to threaten to bring legal action to anyone spreading misinformation about her. And then all the reporters were still like, oh my God, can you believe this? Blah, blah, blah. And so then they were like confirmed like, oh, and by the way, the responsibility for the execution of the duties of champion duelist for all relevant trials is hereby entrusted to Miss Clorinde. So that was sort of also when they made her, I guess, the official champion duelist.
Mm-hmm.
And that finally shut people up. Because they were like, we're going to bring legal action against you. And guess what? Clorinde is going to be the duelist on staff when you're brought to court.
So when you decide to fight her, because your ego says you could beat her, just know that it's her and she knows all the things you've written about her.
Yeah. It's funny because when I first read that, I thought that when they said the execution of the duties of champion duelist, I like misread it the first time, and I thought they meant like she's the executioner for the court. And that shut everyone up. They're like, oh God, she's gonna kill us.
I honestly, I read it the vice versa, where I at first thought they were going to execute her, and I was like, whoa. I was like, what? Where does that? Why? No. So, I do think that's all the time we have to talk about Clorinde, because Kirara is over there with the curated mail from Albedo. She's been waiting. We have a few messages from travelers this week. Our first message comes from Acer Grizium, and they said, what characters/groups of characters would you like to see meet up in the game? Mostly ones that we haven't seen before. Personally, I'd love to see Ito, Ayato, Aurorin, and Aoife meet up. Seeing all the quote-unquote bros together would be hilarious.
Oh, that'd be so much bro.
What up, bro?
What up, bro?
I wrote down a few. I would love to see Columbina and Zabai.
Ooh.
I think that'd be really interesting for them to sort of dish with each other on moon lore and like I was like in the moon, and I was in the moon's reflection, and like what was like that was crazy, girl. I would love to see Jet with actually have a curated little list for Jet of people that I want to see Jet hang out with. I want Jet to hang out with A, Beto, and Jean at the same time.
What? Why?
Because it would be the perfect like complement slash clash of personalities. Like she would horrify Jean because she's so aggressive. She would threaten A, but also kind of like bring A out of her shell a little bit. And she would be besties with Beta. And I just would just love to see the dynamics.
I love it, but it's just hilarious.
It would be such a weird mixture, and Jet would be like the one to bridge those three characters with each other as well, because they would all be reacting to her. Like the scene just kind of writes itself. I think.
You know what? You're absolutely right. It does.
And then the ultimate one, I think, that we're all waiting for is Nuvi and Zhongli.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I would love to see Nuvi with any of the other Archons as well.
Oh yeah, he's just gonna shit on them the whole time.
Or just subtly threaten them. And I want to see them all get scared.
All the Archons have to go to like Archon Con. I've said mine before. I think we all have, but I desperately want it, which is Slit Lolly and Farazan. I need the grannies to meet up. Maybe throw some Mona in there too. So this way there's a little bit of drama, some drinking.
And she's like triggered by the old hags.
Yeah. I need all the drunkards to meet up. I mean, not that Farazan's a drunkard. She's just granny, but you know, I think it would be really funny.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be funny if there was like a Kegger and Mondstadt and like other people, the drunks from the other nations showed up.
And my other one that I know I've said before is I just have a thing with Rosaria and Shenhe, and I'd love for them to meet.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, Rosaria doesn't get to do much of nothing, so it would be nice just to see her show up somewhere. But you know, I think her and Shenhe would hit it off. It's my other ship.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see like Rosaria weirdly taking Shenhe under her wing a little bit.
They're kind of both outcasts. They both like, and they're okay with that.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you people are weird.
For me, I really just have one, which is rare for me and for Brandon. But Brandon had more than one. I really just want to see Toma get to interact with the Mondstadt crew. I want to find out who he was friends with as a kid. I want him to be reunited with, D-Luke or Kaya or whoever. Jean, like he knew Jean as a kid, like we know that much. He knew Eula. Like I think it's about time that he gets to go interact with them. We've seen him in Mondstadt. He was at Angel Share, but we never got to see the actual interaction between them. And I think that would have been really nice.
Very cool.
All right.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yes, thank you, Acer, for your question.
Thank you,
also,
Acer.
Sorry for pronouncing your name wrong. Our next message comes from Ollie, and they said, I'm not sure if I've just missed this or a misunderstanding, but the Traveler and Columbina had become very close friends. Columbina also was close friends with Rosalind. Did we ever tell her that we are responsible for Rosalind's death? Like her new bestie basically killed her old bestie. I don't think we've told her.
I don't think so either. And my mouth kind of dropped when I read that. I was like, oh shit. Sorry. But yeah. Although I feel like Columbina would be like, well, you had to protect yourself because it was us or them, you know.
I mean, we didn't kill her either. Remember that? Like we just were fighting her.
Maybe that's really it. We need Columbina to meet A.
Yeah, I mean, this is the real reason.
Yeah.
See this puppet bitch?
Wouldn't it be funny if Columbina found out and was like questioning us?
Yeah.
And then we point off camera and we're like, it was her fault. And then it pans over and it's Sarah.
Yeah.
So I was like, bitch, I was unconscious.
And we're like, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I will say I agree with Tiff where I think like Columbina would understand. I think she knows that Rosalind wasn't perfect too.
Hmm.
She knows her friend was a little wild. Like let's be real here. But it is really sad to think about.
I mean, yeah, it would be interesting to see like if what dialogue that could create between Columbina and A. Because A would be like, oh yeah, sorry, that was my puppet.
Yeah. That was the puppet. Just wait till they all find out about fucking Wanderer. They're gonna be like, oh shit.
Doesn't Columbina technically know about him?
Does she know about anything anymore?
Yeah, she's super smart now.
I don't know. I don't know if she knows.
Yeah,
You think
I
she
don't
knows
know.
because she went back?
Well, she watched us from afar doing all the stuff to bring her back. So if she was watching us as Lunatar, like, wouldn't she know?
No one knows. How deep does Irminsul
That's
go?
a good question.
I don't even think it's an Irminsul question.
Well, because he was erased, so
Like, was she actually eavesdropping on our conversations with Wanderer?
I think so. I mean, I don't think it says she was eavesdropping on our...
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm sorry. I went way back. I thought you meant like she like knew what had. Okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, she could have, but I don't know. Was she able to see all of Teyvat from up there?
I guess she is made of Teyvat. She is a moon goddess.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess she could have been though listening to our conversations with it. Like he doesn't hide it. Like he
Yeah, that's
knows
true.
we know. So
That's a really interesting thought experiment. I would have to like go back and re-review exactly what they say at the end of that quest line. Like how they explain her coming back. Because of, as usual, it was like a little overly complicated.
It's also the question though, like you said, of like how long has she been watching us?
Right.
I will say one of my favorite things is when people are like Arlecchino being like, why does this little guy know so much?
yeah, she's gonna figure it out.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna figure it out, it's gonna be her. But anyway, thank you, Ollie, for the message
Thank you.
and the mouse
Thanks, Ollie.
drop realizations. Travelers, that is all the time we have for today. If you like this episode, you can feel free to email Albedo at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com to let him know what you thought of this week's episode and what topics you'd like to see in the future. Additionally, travelers can feel free to check us out on Ko-fi, where you can buy us a cup of coffee, or check out our merch store, where all proceeds go to funding this podcast and making sure the Twink Tank can run smoothly. We have to pay Aventurine and Kaveh somehow. Travelers can also feel free to leave us a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can feel free to follow us on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or Twitter /X, Tales of Teyvat. We're also on Blue Sky, Threads, and YouTube under the same usernames. In our next episode, we are going to be returning to Natlin with a special guest visiting us in Angel Share as we discuss Mawika, the Pyro Archon. Until then, safe journeys, travelers. We will see you next time.
It bears repeating. Bye, lesbians. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Let's go, lesbians.